Zoo World surveillance cameras caught a suspect breaking through their perimeter fence. You'll hear how they're asking for the public's help. Also, a former Gulf World employee is speaking out on why she's advocating for strict policies for animal welfare. We'll tell you what this could mean for the dolphin company. And summer is here, and health experts want you to be on alert for signs of a heat stroke. We'll tell you which age groups are more likely to be at risk.
Live with the news where you live, this is News 13 Live at 5.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Shelby Pei. You're watching News 13 Live at 5. Zoo World is asking for the public's assistance in locating a man who broke into their facility on Monday night. The zoo's surveillance cameras caught him breaking through the perimeter fence. Zoo World managers say he targeted the goats. They have over 40 adult and young goats they keep in 2 different pens. Managers say he entered one of the pens, then climbed through a deer pen to get to the second goat enclosure. They say he was chasing and harassing the goats, and staff says this break-in has raised concerns for their animals' safety.
He broke in right behind the sign so that nobody passing by could see what he was doing, and he spent all of his time specifically in the yard chasing down our billy goats. So we know that he had direct intent to target these animals.
Staff accounted for all of the animals and secured the zoo after the break-in. Bay County Sheriff's officials are actively investigating the break-in and are still looking for the suspect. The man was last seen wearing a long-sleeve orange shirt. If you have any information about the suspect or the crime, please call the Bay County Sheriff's Office at 850-747-4700. A former Gulf World employee is advocating for tighter regulations surrounding the enforcement of animal welfare. Rachel Hale is a zoologist and animal behaviorist who worked as a seasonal job with the Marine Park in 2014. That's a year before the Dolphin Company assumed ownership. She told News 13 that during her tenure, animal welfare was never an issue, but she says that changed after the Dolphin Company took command. In the years following, Hale says her former coworkers began quitting.
I've heard horror stories such as if an animal isn't working or doing the correct behavior, they will drop a gate on its head in order to force it to do a certain behavior. I've heard of them increasing the number of animal interactions beyond anything that the animal is okay participating in.
Last week, 7 bottlenose dolphins were transported to other Dolphin Company-owned locations. Hale says getting those dolphins out of their facilities is one of the many goals of a new online petition. We'll have more details on that at News 13 at 6. In this legislative session, 2 bills passed in the House that threaten the existence of tourism development councils across the state. Concerns grew as the bills were amended to include proposals that would divert the use of bed tax to offset property taxes. With the session extended twice, tourism officials were left eagerly waiting to find out the bill's status. Now that the session is over, tourism partners were relieved the TDC's existence is no longer on the chopping block, and there were no provisions made to use bed tax to offset property taxes. But local lawmakers say the discussion about property taxes is far from over.
The House created a select committee on property tax, and so I think there's about 37 of us on this committee, and they're doing a lot of background research. The staff members are, and we're all been given homework to bring home data from our prospective districts, and they're compiling all that to see if we can find a solution that puts something on the ballot for the public to generate a vote in 26.
Griffith says the goal is to find a responsible way to offset property taxes that keeps public safety in mind. He strongly opposed any push that would harm tourism efforts in our community and says he will continue to do so. On News 13 at 6, you'll hear from local tourism leaders and learn more about the changes that were made that will impact TDCs. With the temperature on the rise, local health experts are sounding the alarm on the dangers of extreme heat. Whether it's a sunny day or overcast, the risk of heat-related illness rises silently in the summer months. But there are some warning signs to look out for. The first signs of illness are muscle cramps and spasms. And if you stay in the sun, it can quickly become heat exhaustion or heat stroke. It can then progress into dizziness, loss of consciousness, and extreme confusion. Anyone is at risk, but some are more susceptible.
Little children, honestly, and our elderly population are going to be more at risk. They might not be as aware of their bodies, so you need to be very cautious, especially with our babies, making sure they're under a shade. Bring a tent, bring an umbrella, rent the umbrella, or bring your own, and make sure that there's a safe place to retreat when you're not playing in the water.
There's prevention methods to keep in mind before going outside this summer, like staying hydrated by drinking plenty of water and beverages with electrolytes. Also be sure to know the hottest times of the day before hitting the beach.
Now, your Viper First Look forecast, sponsored by Peden Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Starting out with one of our cameras here, or the camera network, and across St. Andrews Bay, you can see the developing cloud cover, and you've probably even heard a crack of thunder here in downtown Panama City. We got a couple of raindrops falling as well, a little developing thunderstorm moving off to the east. Temperatures quite warm out there, sitting up into the 80s. We're at 88 with our dew point at 75. The wind out of the north and west, 6 miles per hour. That's helping to push the sea breeze back toward the coast on the Perry and Young Tower Cam, offering more of the same. You can see a couple of those drops and certainly darker conditions right over downtown versus the sunlight still shining out over the bay. Overnight tonight, a chance at showers and storms. Those temperatures coming down to about 80 degrees for our coastal areas. There's a look at an outflow boundary pressing in. The storms you're hearing right now working right over the station. That's actually outflow from a storm that popped up around Bluntstown. We'll talk more about your shower and thunderstorm chances the rest of this evening and again for your Friday in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Ross. We previously told you about a 9-year-old girl who was attacked by a shark in Southwest Florida. Today, she's speaking out for the first time. Here's ABC's Rena Roy with the story.
I pick up my hand and it's all in blood.
For the first time, a young girl speaking about the day a shark attacked her while she was swimming in Boca Grande, Florida.
I was just snorkeling, then I went up to breathe, and then something hard bit me, and then it tried to tug me away.
Leah Lendell says the shark suddenly attacked while she was enjoying a beach day with her family last week.
My dad was with me. He picked me up, and we ran to the road.
Her parents thanking a group of construction workers who just happened to be eating lunch on the beach.
I noticed that it was her arm that was almost like falling off. So instantly I figured out that it was a shark in the water. So we quickly got out of the water, and then there was construction people running at the same time. And then one of them helped us tie her arm so it stops the bleeding.
The 9-year-old then airlifted to the hospital to save her hand. Doctors showing these x-rays of before and after reattaching it in emergency surgery.
The shark's teeth are so sharp that the cut through the wrist is clean and not jagged, and it doesn't ruin all the tissues.
I didn't think she's gonna have a hand. It was really, really bad. You know, it's some sort of miracle.
This is just the latest incident as shark sightings soar this summer.
Their migration basically goes from off the southeastern U.S., the Gulf of Mexico in the winter, right up to here in the summertime. They'll even go past us all the way up to Canada.
Now Leah is well on the road to recovery and is able to move her fingers post-surgery, and she says she will be going into the water again. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The White House says President Trump will decide in the next 2 weeks on whether to strike Iran, but he hopes negotiations can be achieved for the U.S. and Israel in order to shut down Iran's nuclear program. As ABC's Alex Prescia tells us, Trump is now getting briefed on certain weapons.
President Trump today holding out hope for a diplomatic resolution to the nuclear crisis with Iran.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
Briefed today in the Situation Room for the third straight day, sources tell ABC News the president has approved attack plans against Iran should military action be necessary.
Is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
Sources also tell ABC News the president is getting briefed on specific weapons that potentially would be involved in any strike, and what military assets are also needed in the area to protect U.S. troops in the region. The U.S. military is pre-positioning aircraft carriers and strike groups in the region, and overnight evacuating American diplomats from Israel. And today, a barrage of Iranian missiles hitting targets inside of Israel, including this direct strike on a major hospital. The blast sent staff running for their lives. They evacuated patients just days ago.
This morning we understood how lucky or how smart was this decision.
And in Tel Aviv, at least 240 people were injured when Iranian missiles hit a high-rise. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu incensed.
They're targeting civilians because they're a criminal regime. They're the arch terrorists of the world.
The IDF responding today by striking dozens of sites in Iran, including a key nuclear reactor capable of producing low-grade plutonium. These satellite images showing the before and after. And tomorrow in Geneva, representatives from France, Germany, and Britain will meet with Iran's foreign minister to try to find a diplomatic solution to the conflict. Alex Berchet, ABC News, Washington.
Changes in immigration raids at work sites across the country could be changing, but you'll find out why the proposed updates are receiving backlash. And if you're one of the millions of Americans who rely on Social Security, we'll tell you why analysts say you could see changes in less than 10 years.
This is News 13 Live at 5 with Shelby Pay, Sam Granville with sports, and Storm Team 13 Chief Meteorologist Ross Whitley.
The Trump administration could lift restrictions on immigration raids at some work sites that rely on undocumented labor. Those include farms, hotels, and restaurants. And as News 13's Rashad Hudson tells us, it's a shift from prior guidance and is sparking backlash.
The Department of Homeland Security is reversing course, once again allowing immigration raids at certain workplaces.
The message is clear now that we're going to continue doing worksite enforcement operations, even on farms and hotels, but based on a prioritized basis. Criminals come first.
President Trump's border czar Tom Homan says raids are about enforcement, not politics, but acknowledges that many of these industries may be hiring people ICE is trying to catch.
We're enforcing immigration law every day. We got over 1,000 teams on the streets every day across this country.
President Trump ordered federal agencies, including ICE, to expand efforts to deport illegal immigrants in the country's largest cities.
Radical Democrats will no longer be allowed to shelter illegals who threaten public safety as part of their cynical efforts to expand political power.
Illinois Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth criticized the move, calling it political.
The fact that they are targeting Democratic areas is basically unconstitutional and deeply troubling to me.
When asked about the focus on sanctuary cities, Holman pushed back.
They knowingly release public safety threats, illegal aliens to the community every day. So that's why we're sending more resources to sanctuary cities.
Duckworth is also warning against deploying troops for immigration enforcement.
This administration is politicizing our nation's military when it should not be politicized.
The White House has not deployed troops to participate in raids so far, only to the southern border to prevent illegal crossings. In Washington, Rashad Hudson, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
Millions of Americans rely on Social Security benefits to get by, but the Social Security Board of Trustees indicated its trust fund may not be able to provide full benefits in the future. News Nation's Blake Berman brings us more information surrounding the financial future of the program.
So did the Social Security countdown clock just skip forward? I'm Blake Berman, host of The Hill on News Nation. The Social Security Board of Trustees now predicting that in 2034, its trust funds will no longer be able to pay full benefits. This from the trustees' annual report released this week. It's 1 year earlier than previous projections. The funds would only be able to pay about 81% of benefits in 2034 if Congress doesn't act, according to the report. Now, the report combines the solvency estimates for the disability and old age benefit funds, which are currently held separately. Now, when you look at them individually, the old age fund would only be able to pay out 77% of benefits in 2033. The disability fund, though, would remain solvent until 2099. Now, while Congress has about a decade to stabilize the nation's retirement program, touching Social Security remains a politically sensitive issue on both sides of the aisle. I'm Blake Berman, and this is the News Nation Political Minute.
You can find more news and analysis on News Nation. To find News Nation on your screen, go to newsnationnow.com.
Scattered showers and storms across the area now. We'll talk about your rain chances as we move forward for Friday and into the weekend just ahead.